Well, Canadians are expected to have lost more than $640 million to financial fraud in the year, but the real figure could be much larger as only a fraction of scams are reported. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne said today that the upcoming federal budget will introduce a national anti-fraud strategy. The government also plans to set up a financial crimes agency. Now, for more on this, let's bring Claudiu Popa, a cyber fraud expert and CEO of Data Risk Canada. Claudiu, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on the show, Roger.
Just how bad is the situation?
Well, it's been growing almost exponentially. It's certainly been a steady growth across the past decade, but over the past couple of years, and certainly since the pandemic, we have seen accelerated losses, and those losses are now in the multiple billions. And those are the kinds of losses that individual Canadians can't bear year over year. And yet we are told that the reported losses, as you said, 640 million, are just a small fraction, sometimes as little as 5% of the actual total loss amount. This is not the kind of thing that Canadian consumers should have to bear. And so there's been a lot of erosion of trust in the financial services sector. So I suspect that has something to do with today's announcements.
Now, you said since the pandemic, what has changed? Is it strictly AI? I mean, we've only really talked about AI as being such a major issue in the last couple of years, but has AI been coming in? Was the thing that changed it the most for people and put them more at risk?
AI has been coming in with a vengeance, and I can tell you that even a year ago, it was right across 80% of scams, cyber fraud, cyber criminal activity, the usual phishing and spam messages that we're all accustomed to seeing were already 80% powered by AI. This year, it's basically at 100%. At this point, everything is finely tuned, finely crafted, and made to scale to a lot of people. But it's not just AI, it's also crypto scams, investments of all different types, and of course, the usual, the romance scams, the types of advanced fee fraud that we've been seeing for decades, which are showing no signs of letting up. Ransomware is, of course, rampant, and it's based on a very complex structure of organized cybercrime that operates across borders. So it's high time that we had the Financial Crime Coordination Center that helps to unify some of the organizations that we had in Canada, not just law enforcement, but telecoms, banks, and various nonprofits that have been operating in silos until now.
And how does Canada compare? What would you like to see in this, the announcements, and what do we need, do you feel? And how do we compare to other countries?
I think it's a huge opportunity for Canada to show innovation. We've always had the tools. The tools are available. The tools have only been used in those siloed individual environments. Because they haven't been allowed to operate in conjunction with other elements, other organizations. In Europe, for example, they're a lot more advanced from an anti-fraud perspective because they have more cooperation across law enforcement, and there's a lot more restriction around sharing data. So today, Canadian consumers, as soon as they sign up for any program, maybe 50 other companies are getting access to their information. And that's a huge privacy issue, but also a data breach issue. In the States, they're used to those types of data breaches. And yes, they're about 10 times more than what we're seeing here, but there are also a lot more people in the United States. However, in Canada, it's growing much faster, and that's why it's a huge opportunity for us to put a dent in it and show innovation.
Now, do you think all those groups can work together?
Yeah, and you know what? For the past couple of decades, we've been seeing demands from these groups, from experts within these silos, asking to cooperate and collaborate and have safe spaces or forums where they could speak with a unified voice and speak with one language around cyber fraud, cybercrime, and the types of financial crimes monitoring that we really need to be a top-down process starting at the federal government.
And now you mentioned we could be cutting edge and lead in this. Where can we be at the forefront? What areas do you see us as being at the forefront?
Well, where things start is with putting control back into the hands of consumers. Consumers feel like they have very little visibility and very little control over transactions. They're often surprised to see massive scams that have gone on over previous months. And so putting consent back into their hands, as there is in Europe, is a good way to start. But in order to also keep those people and those organizations, that entire ecosystem of protective capabilities back into the Canadian economy, we need to leverage monitoring tools. So it's all about the detective capabilities. Those detective capabilities have existed. We know this because credit cards have
Hmm.
always had these departments, these anti-fraud departments that see patterns and anticipate. And now they're using AI to calculate what the possibilities, what the risks are around every
Okay.
single visible transaction. So there's a lot to be gained from using technology. The cyber criminals are doing it today. So why not the good guys?
Okay, Claudia, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Claudiu Popa is a cyber fraud expert and CEO of Data Risk Canada.